I've got a large collection of arcade games. I wonder how much it would cost to complete all of them if it was a real arcade. Only one way to find out. Tell me, dear viewer, what is it that you're afraid of? The dark? Death? Loneliness? Clowns? If you answered no to any of those, you're a liar. If you answered yes, then you'll want to steer clear of today's game. As it's Halloween, we're going to take a detour from the Midway Memory Lane tour to have a look at another Midway game that only went to the arcades. CarnEvil. A rather unique looking rail shooter in both game and cabinet, CarnEvil is a horror shooter inspired by the 1962 film Carnival of Souls, and to make it just that little bit more spoopy, it was released on Halloween 1998. Ooh. It became popular for its disturbing sights, blood-riddled effects, and dark humour. According to Jack Hager, the game's designer, the sales exceeded Mortal Kombat 4, and Midway wanted to design a 4D cabinet for it, which never materialised. Shame, that would have been pretty sweet. I'd love to smell the blood of my enemies. The game has you taking on the role of an unnamed protagonist who investigates a local legend in Iowa, then ends up trapped in a haunted carnival and now must fight his way out, and it's going to cost him because in order to play, you need to insert 2 credits to get 1 life. So to start a 2-player game, it's going to cost £4. We may have a contender for Zombie Raid. Let's find out. The attraction sequence starts by reciting the local legend of CarnEvil in a fictional town in Iowa. A ghost tour is travelling through a graveyard and one of the passengers, who might be a child, they don't look that tall and look quite young, jumps off to approach the tombstone mentioned in the legend. He finds a gold token and inserts it into the jester's mouth. Suddenly the entire graveyard is turned into the Carnival of Evil and the jester's head shows you he swallowed a title card. Starting the game lets you choose from 1 of 3 levels. All 3 need to be completed, but all can be done in any order. We chose the haunted house first, and the jester, named Umlau, gave us a rhyme about the level.
Welcome to the haunted house. Meet a ghoul who lost her head. If you'd like to stay and join us, you're always welcome, alive or dead.
Beginning the first level, there's going to be 3 things that stand out to you. First off is the simplistic HUD. A life bar, bullet count, and score is all you need, and they're way out of the way so they don't block your view. Second is the actual gun controller. Unlike traditional rail shooters like House of the Dead, you don't get to use a pistol-like gun to shoot. Instead, it's a shotgun. This means that after firing your 6 shots, rather than firing off screen to reload, you cocked it and could keep firing with an almost uninterrupted flow of lead. For 1998, this was a fancy controller that offered a new way to play, that many rail shooters didn't offer. One of the closest experience was, funnily enough, Zombie Raid that came out in 1995, where the guns had a cocking mechanism, but they were attached to the cabinet and can only move on an axis. The third thing you'll notice are the graphics. Obviously they look dated now, but back then this was close to, if not matching, the best games had to offer at the time. The FMV sequences had a similar quality to those found in Resident Evil 2, and the in-game graphics matched the quality of Zelda N64 games. If there was a way to make this game stand out, the developers went for it. Not only in the graphics, but the construction of the levels also stand out. Rather than make an environment for a level that you will travel through, the levels are composed of an FMV sequence that stops and starts. When it stops, enemies, the only survivor, and pickups are basically green screened in front of you. It's not an unheard of technique, and games like Area 51 had already done similar things, but it does offer up some unique and chaotic visuals. But how does it play? To be blunt, it's a bit of a piss take. It's very hard for some pretty shitty reasons. Don't get me wrong, your own personal skill is a factor and you can overcome some of the challenges you face by putting in effort and memorising the levels. But there is some horseshit that you will have to deal with and be powerless against. Right at the start of the level, you're hit by a surprise attack from bats with next to no time to react. The only way you can defend yourself from that is either luck or knowledge from a previous run. It won't be an uncommon occurrence to be hit by an enemy within milliseconds of them being on screen. But that's not the only problem. Literally, on the next section we encountered, there was a zombie that wasn't registering hits. This happens quite a few times throughout the game, even on pickups, which gets frustrating when you spot it because, do I need to say it? It's not dying and I'm shooting it like the game wants me to. It's not the worst issue. Firing quickly will be somewhat of an effective counter against it, but as I said, it's not the worst issue. 1 minute 25 into the first level, we encounter the first boss. Some of the bosses will get free hits on you because fuck you. Often you aren't able to stop the attacks before they start, not because you missed the prompt, but because the attack has to start before it can be stopped. Like here with Hambone. When he's not disco dancing or throwing a tantrum, he's using his gun arm he stole from Barrett to shoot you. Attacking his arm stops the attack, so we thought, maybe if we shoot the arm and destroy it, it doesn't fire.
Nope.
It's guaranteed to fire a few shots and damage you before you can halt it. Why the fuck should I have to take damage? Oh, that's easy, because whoever designed this is a money-milking prick. That is the complete horsewank. They aren't even trying to hide the cheating. Oh, now you decide to take cover now that he's dead? I'm gonna shoot a zombie in the dick to calm down. That's very satisfying. Hambone does come back about 1 minute 30 later as Hambone the Revenge. He swapped out his gun arm now for a cannon, which now shoots skulls. Hitting all of them is hard, but not impossible, but ultimately he's easier than he was in the previous encounter. We ain't done with the bosses, however. We got a hat trick of bosses in the haunted house level. The end level boss is Evil Marie, a demonetization nightmare, which doesn't make sense because I'm not monetized. So, woo! No necessary censorship! This axe-wielding maniac is hard to hit, not just because we're using controllers. She constantly floats around the level while throwing axes at you in rapid succession. On the plus side, she isn't a boss that inflicts mandatory damage. Yet. When she's shaking her clearly fake tits in your face, you can stagger her by shooting her somewhere? I'm not sure where. She seems to stagger after a few shots and at other times more shots. I guess it's just down to how fast you can unload on her. However fast your trigger finger is, you best hope it's fast enough for the final section of the fight. She begins to throw spirit bombs at you and you can't shoot them down, so you need to shoot faster than she can throw them. Chances are she will get one off before you can kill her, and she gets a cheat kill on you. Fuck you, bitch. Overall though, that was a good time. There were some fun moments, the visual transitions from area to area were entertaining, and the dark humour did make us giggle. Never gets old. Each level does end in a boss fight, but not every level has multiple bosses. Once you kill the final boss, they die in a gruesome fashion and your results are displayed. You then get to choose your next level. Let's go Freak Show this time.
It's the Freak Show, the Freak Show. See the strange and bizarre. Step right up, we'd love to see you. We think you could be the star.
Alright, this is going to be... What the fuck are those? The fuck is this? The fuck is that? Oh wait, I get it. Spider Monkey. This level is full of some rather interesting sights. It's also more charitable with the items that you can pick up. You'll encounter floating pickups as you traverse through the levels. Shooting them lets you acquire them, but don't forget this shit. Sometimes you're given a brief second to collect them, and other times they're in plain sight. Primarily, the pickups are for weapons with limited ammo. However, you can also find a health pickup and a clip extender good for one clip, which we only found once in the entire game. You can use a total of 4 additional weapons, with only some appearing in certain levels. The shotgun is a 10-slug beast that insta-kills anything it touches at any range. The machine gun is a fast-firing version of your current gun with matching damage. The flamethrower is what you expect it to be, but better at stun locking targets instead of killing, and the acid bath insta-kills foes in a spray and has more sadistic death animations. None of the weapons last long though, but fuck does it feel good to use them. You'll also encounter a survivor named Betty. Shooting her deals damage to you, and as you might expect, she uses that flawless video game logic of, what's that? 2 people are shooting their way through this nightmare and could potentially save me, better get in the way of their shots. She also chooses some of the worst hiding spots. A basement full of bats? Yeah, that seems safe. In the middle of a kitchen full of zombies? Yeah, that seems safe. After the slaughtering of the freaks, we encounter the first boss of the level, Cyclops, the 7-eyed Cyclops. This one is actually a skill-based boss. Shooting out his eye takes a sizable chunk of his... Wait a minute. He has 2 heads. So is it their health? Takes a sizable chunk out of the brother's health. Do it right and you can kill them before they get a swing off. Unlike us. Also, we got a bit of a laugh out of it because he's meant to be English, yet he's saying phrases that no English person actually says. Except for that one. We do say that one quite a lot. After the Cyclops fight, you enter the castle. Or BDSM dungeon. I feel like these people want us to hurt them. I can oblige. Oh sweet, Betty got a kill. Gold star for you. A second and end level boss is Junior, a giant freakish baby. Not sure how I feel about shooting a child, even if it is a monster thirsting for my blood and I do have a hatred of children. At least we end this fight quickly, as it's the easiest boss in the game. Shooting its giant head causes it to be stunned easy, and with only 1 instance of mandatory damage, we defeated it, only getting hit a total of 4 times and not using a credit. Oh! Alright, it might have been a monster, but we just electrocuted a baby to ash. Should I feel guilty? Level 3! Technically. Rickety Town.
What goes up must come down. Now you're headed for Rickety Town. Ride all the rides, have some fun, then eat your heart out on a sesame seed bun.
Alright, we're in a Christmas town. Now Dinosaur Land. A racetrack? Is this how American carnivals are? If any Americans are watching, please do let me know. The levels do have an impressive amount of background imagery. Whether they're staying in one big area or just entering multiple areas, every location looks distinct, and the huge variety of them you visit will keep you hooked, wanting to see where you go next and facing the horrors within. Rickety Town is the weirdest level so far. It's honestly humorous how drastic the themes change as you progress through, and seeing some of the crazy looking enemies got a few titters out of us. The humour I wouldn't necessarily describe as dark, though it does contain some. The majority of it is silly sights. A zombie in a chef hat, the dinos that skip to their death, the food court workers weaponising food while showing their asses and doing that, the kinky dungeon, Lao's rhymes, and of course... You won't be able to deny that there is a lot of personality in this game. It's very stylised and its comedy will be hit or miss for the individual. Aka got a laugh out of the one and only boss in this level. You want to guess what Christmas themed monster we're fighting in October? If you guess Santa, it is in fact Krampus. As a boss, it's a weird one to describe. First off, he's very weak. His health drains quickly and it took less than 1 minute to kill him. He has a lot of attacks and they all drain your health just as quick. During the fight we were able to stagger him, but we weren't sure what we were hitting. Looking at the footage now, I can see a heart and I think that might be it. Yet we were also able to stagger him when not aiming at it, and attacking his arms doesn't stop his attacks. So if it's true that the quickest way to a man's heart is with a shotgun, then that is where you need to aim. Once you kill him, you can have a little sadistic fun by shooting his corpse in the balls. With all 3 of the starting levels complete, we advance onto the final level. It doesn't have a name unless it's Get Ready, so I'm going to call it the Big Top.
to our main attraction, the three-ring circus in the big top tent. We hope our clowns will entertain you before making you the main event.
If you do have chorophobia, then you might be in luck as you get to face your fears and engage in clown slaughter. Even though this is the final level, it doesn't commit the arcade sin of recycling enemies. From beginning to end, the foes you face have had a wide range of designs, themes, attack patterns and injuries as you blow them apart, and a huge variety of looks. Because of this variety, the game doesn't feel stale and you just want to keep playing to see what comes next. The haunted house had monsters themed from horror films, zombies, ghosts, bats, spiders. Ah, giant spider! The freak show featured, as you would expect, but to put politely, strange looking people and creatures who actually have names. Even though there's more than one of them. We got Flapjack, Maggot Mike, Clem the Fly, the previously mentioned spider monkeys, and I think these are meant to be Executioner, but I don't know. Brixty Town has the weirdest ones as we started off fighting. Krampus's goblin helpers, the mechanics who inhaled a fuck ton of Joker gas, Barney the dinosaur's drugged up cousin, fought off killer somethings, and a food fight with guillotines. In comparison to other levels, the foes you face in the Big Top are kind of simple. You first encounter short clowns as you enter the tent, followed by some hulking angry clowns, and then, oh hey Betty, and then mimes. Are mimes clowns? According to this article, clowns and mimes are at an epic rivalry. God, it sounds like a shitty Fortnite event. Funnily enough, the mimes won't attack you, so you can leave them alone if you want. The level sees you performing various tricks like jumping through fire hoops while fighting demon dogs, shooting yourself out of a cannon and doing trapeze while fighting Spanish imps?
Hola, me llamo Muertito.
Then a mad scientist lab emerges from the centre of the arena, complete with mad Dr. Clowns. Doesn't last long as you are soon trapped in a cage and brought on board a blimp and come face to face with the big bad evil guy, Dr. Tokentaker, and his right hand, or rather head, man, Umlau. Umlau you need to fight first, and he's a complete pushover. He's super easy to hit, has a piss weak amount of health, and hardly attacks. Not the case for Tokentaker. After you Thanos Umlau, watch this. This is the fray before we begin to fight Tokentaker. Watch how quickly we're damaged by him. He does make use of mandatory damage as he poises through your shots, but he doesn't do it that often. Overall though, it's a very entertaining fight. It consists of chasing him along the blimp while skeletons chase you. His health decreases extremely slowly and he will vanish almost the instant he appears. He is however easy to stagger and you can always hurt him wherever he appears. At the final location he tries to kill you by throwing various fireworks at you, with the skeletons interrupting one final time before emptying your hot lead load into him. He might be dead? Better blow up the blimp to make sure. So here you are. CarnEvil has been destroyed, its nightmarish creatures deceased, gallons of blood spilled in the name of survival, and Betty safe and sound. What's the next step after a traumatizing event like this? Do it all again, obviously!
No! No!
The game ends with the tombstone spitting out the token, only for your douchebag character to put it back in as Betty protests. This poor girl, she's been through a lot. Eaten by zombies, shot twice by us, eaten by spiders, trapped in a pillory, beaten up by a skeleton, chased by freaks, blown up on a blimp. The list goes on. The least you could do is just let her get away before going back, you dick. CarnEvil is a mad game. Is it entertaining? Absolutely. Is it challenging? Very much so, though not always for good reason. Is it full of shit? At times. Is it worth a play? 100%. The crazy level design, the silly sense of humour, over-the-top action, satisfaction you get from blowing enemies apart, and the amount of absurd sights you will see will leave a positive impression on you for a while. Don't expect any single credit runs, no matter how much you practice. It's going to be difficult no matter what, even if you do happen to get a lot of life per credit. But fuck will you have fun regardless, even if it's going to be expensive. Yet, will it be expensive enough to throw Zombie Raid from the top spot? At £2 for a single life, we start the game at a staggering £4 to begin a 2-player game. A grand total of 27 deaths between us later results in a total of 54 credits used, thus resulting in £54 spent, despite the difficulty. Not enough to dethrone Zombie Raid, so instead slots itself between Splatterhouse and Tubing. Maybe next time. Moving on to the grand totals, we now sit at 1,090 credits used and £885 spent. Again, we're approaching that sweet 1k mark, but what's going to be the game that gets there? Make your predictions down below. And that was CarnEvil. Thanks for watching, everyone. Join us next time, where this time we will actually be getting back on tour and engaging in total carnage.